everyone, this is Borotan Z. This time, we're going to use an innovative method to create a girl's face and hair. By starting with low-polygon modeling, low poly, we can create models efficiently, quickly, easily, and enjoyably. By intuitively modeling the base mesh through sculpting, starting from low poly, and then sculpting the details directly, we can create models efficiently, easily, and enjoyably. Afterward, we will use the new hair system to create hair easily and enjoyably. I believe this technique can be applied to any type of character. So, if you want to create many characters, please watch until the end for reference. This channel aims to share tips and information for enjoying 3D CG creation with people who want to start 3D CG or those who want to work in 3D CG. Please subscribe to the channel and give a high rating if you like it. Let's get started. First, prepare reference images for the character we will create. Prepare images of the front view and the side view of the face. It is best if you have a character you drew yourself, but if not, you can search online or use generative AI. The character we are creating this time was refined using generative AI based on a simple character I drew myself. To briefly explain, I used the refining function of the KritaAI diffusion plugin in the free open-source digital painting software Krita to generate the image. By basing it on drawings of the front and side views of the face, I was easily able to create the front and side profiles. Since both Krita and KritaAI diffusion are free software, I recommend trying them if you are interested. Now, let's start by creating the character's head using the low-poly modeling method from a previous video. We create the head by extruding the top face of a cube. After extruding it to a large size, we apply a subdivision surface modifier. Set the cube to smooth shade. Since we are only creating the head this time, we will delete the face below the chest area. In sculpt mode, roughly adjust the shape. Press the F1 key or Y to set the viewport to the front view. Drag and drop the reference images to import them into the viewport. Center the front face image. Adjust the position so the model aligns with the drawing. Import the reference image into the side view and position it so it aligns with the front view. It is a good idea to check the alignment by pressing the F1 and F2 keys alternately. Adjust the shape in sculpt mode according to the image. Switch to edit mode and divide the low poly model's mesh so that more detailed modeling can be performed. First, we will use loop cuts for rough segmentation. Insert a loop cut into the center of the face to divide it. Then insert a loop cut above that at the eye position. Insert one loop cut around the outer edge of the face. Select the mesh at the center of the face and scale it. Select the faces at the eye position. Use inset faces to divide the mesh twice. Switch to the side view and extrude inward twice. Insert one loop cut at the corner of the eye. Also, insert one loop cut vertically across the eye. Insert one loop cut below the eye near the mouth. Select the faces around the mouth and nose and use inset. Select the face for the mouth and use inset. Switch to the side view and extrude inward twice. Then scale it up. Insert loop cuts horizontally across the mouth and at the position of the nose. Select the faces around the nose area and use inset. Select the face for the nose and pull it forward. Insert one loop cut on the chin. Insert one loop cut on the front and one on the side. Once divided to this extent, we will adjust the shape using sculpting. Switch to sculpt mode and set it to the front view. Since it is easier if you can see the wireframe, check the wireframe display option for geometry in the overlay settings. Set the opacity to about 0.2. In Sculpt mode, adjust the overall shape. Adjust the shape by switching between the front and side views, and finally, adjust the entire model from an angled view. Once the overall shape is adjusted, create the eyes using spheres and insert them. Add a UV sphere. Rotate it 90 degrees on the x-axis to face the front. Move it to the eye position and adjust it to fit properly. Apply the mirror modifier. In edit mode, select the polygons for the iris and separate them. In edit mode of the duplicated model, select the outline and switch to vertex selection mode. Snap the 3D cursor to the selection and align it with the edge. Set the pivot point to the 3D cursor. Select all vertices and scale them to indent the opposite side. Now that the eyes are done, next we will create the ears. Select the edges for the ear area. Apply a bevel to create a face. Extrude that face and sculpt the shape to form the ear. Once roughly adjusted, the low-poly base model is complete. You can save this state and apply this base model when creating other models. Now, to begin detailed sculpting, first apply the subdivision surface modifier at level 1. Then add a multi-resolution modifier. Use subdivide twice to make the mesh finer. Continue detailed sculpting while applying subdivide as necessary. Sculpting has been updated since Blender 4.3. It is easier to use and more customizable than previous versions of sculpting. Try out different features to find what works best for you. After sculpting to a certain extent, press Apply Base in the multi-resolution modifier's shape settings to reflect the sculpted shape onto the base mesh. When reflected, there may be areas where the mesh becomes distorted. Switch to Edit mode and fix the mesh. Then return to Sculpt mode and refine the edited mesh area. This gives us a clean mesh and sculpted details. Next, we will create the eyebrows and eyelashes. For the eyebrows, select the faces where the eyebrows should be and duplicate them. Separate the duplicated faces into a new object. Sculpt a shape. Apply a solidify modifier to add thickness. Apply the mirror modifier. For the eyelashes, select the faces and duplicate them. Separate the duplicated faces into a new object. Solidify them to add thickness. Apply the mirror modifier. In Edit mode, use the Add Cone feature or similar geometry addition to grow the hairs. Use the knife tool to cut the faces so they can curl like hair. Adjust the shape using sculpting. The eyebrows and eyelashes are complete. Next, we will create the tongue and teeth. Add a mesh cube and move it to the position of the tongue. Adjust the size using scaling, and then extrude faces to form the shape. Apply a subdivision surface modifier to refine the tongue shape. Apply smooth shading and adjust. Now for the teeth. Add a mesh cylinder and move it to the gum position. Adjust the size using scaling and delete the back faces. Solidify it and delete the top face. Insert a loop cut horizontally. Then apply a multi-resolution modifier and subdivide it very finely. Sculpt the teeth. Once the rough shape is sculpted, proceed to detailed sculpting. Once sculpting is done, duplicate the object. Apply a mirror to create the lower teeth. Sculpt the shape. Now the tongue and teeth are complete. Since the modeling is finished, we will now unwrap the UVs. Name the meshes. Apply and remove the mirror modifier. Delete any unnecessary faces on the backside. Switch to edit mode and add seams to the edges where you want the UV cuts to be. Set the seams in locations that connect smoothly and where the UV cuts will be less noticeable. Once seams are placed on all meshes, move to the UV editing workspace. First, select all meshes, and from the UV menu in edit mode, apply projection from view. The UVs will appear in the UV editor. Next, select all UVs in the UV editor. From the UV menu, unwrap using angle-based unwrap. There are several types, so choose the one that unwraps nicely. Once unwrapped, since we want a high UV resolution for the front of the face, select the UVs for that area. Try using Pack Islands from the UV menu to allocate a large area and arrange them. Adjust the size of the other UVs, select all of them, and arrange them. Adjust them so that the texture area is utilized effectively. The UV unwrapping is now complete. Create a new image with a resolution of 2048 by 2048. Set the color by sampling the base skin tone using the eyedropper tool. Move to the shading workspace and set the same shader for all meshes. Set the texture we just created as the base color of the shader. Next, select the base model of the face and move to the Texture Paint workspace. We will paint the face texture. Since we want to paste an image texture projection, go to the Texture Properties, press New, and load the girl's image we are using. Set the texture in Texture Paint mode to the loaded image and activate Stencil mode. Set the 3D view to the front and adjust the scale so that the size of the background image matches the size of the stencil image. By setting the paint color to white and painting, we can project the stencil image onto the 3D model. Once the image is pasted from the front, we will paste it onto other meshes, such as the irises, sclera, eyebrows, and eyelashes. You can also turn the model sideways and paste the side view image. Adjust the stencil size and paste it on the model. Once the pasting is complete, remove the stencil image. We will paint the entire model while sampling colors using the eyedropper tool. The color texture painting is now complete. Once painting is finished, remember to save the image from the image menu in the texture view. Move to the shading workspace to set up the shaders. First, we will bake the multi-resolution details into a normal map. Create a new image and set the resolution to 2048 by 2048. In the Shader Node editor, add an image texture node. Set the created texture to this node. Keep the node selected. In Render Properties, set the render engine to cycles. Open the Bake panel at the bottom of the Properties menu. Check Bake from Multi-Resolution and press the Bake button. The normal map will be generated. Save the image. Set the color space of the image texture to non-color. Add a normal map node, connect the color output, and connect it to the normal input of the principled BSDF. Since the teeth meshes are separate for the upper and lower jaws, we will bake their normal maps separately. While you could create a new shader and set it up, merging the teeth normal map into the face normal map image will allow you to use just one shader. I recommend merging them using painting software like Krita or Photoshop. By setting subsurface scattering on the face shader, you can achieve a realistic skin appearance. Set the subsurface scattering to Random Walk Skin, set the weight to 0.5, and adjust the scale value. Next, we will create a lens for the eyes to reflect light. Duplicate the iris mesh, switch to Edit mode, and scale it so it bulges out on the opposite side. Delete the current material and create a new material. Increase the transmission value, decrease the alpha, decrease the roughness, and increase the metallic. All shaders are now set up. Next, we will create the hair. The geometry node-based hair system was introduced in Blender 3.3. This hair system allows you to easily create realistic hair or polygon hair that can be used for games. We will use this system to create the hair. First, select the faces on the face mesh where you want the hair to grow. Duplicate and separate these faces. Name this mesh Hair and delete any modifiers on it. With the mesh selected, add an empty hair curve from the Add menu. Select the added curve and switch to Sculpt mode. The tools for creating hair will appear. Select Add from the bottom icon tools to add guide curves. You can also delete them using the Delete tool. First, we will start growing hair from the bottom area. If you add too many guides, they become difficult to control, so add an appropriate number. Once added, use the Comb tool to brush them in the desired direction. Then use the Snake Hook tool to set the length. Comb the shape and move on to the next section. Before growing the middle section, set the selection to None. This makes it easier because you can only apply brushes to the parts you have added. Continue adding guides up to the top in this manner. Once guides are added to the top, set the render engine to Eevee and switch to render preview. Set the curve shape to strip and increase the subdivision value. Drag the timeline up to open the asset browser. Select the hair object. The hair system modifiers will be available. We will now add those modifiers. First, add Set Hair Curve Profile. This sets the thickness of the hair. Next, add Duplicate Hair Curves. This allows you to set the number of hairs. Let's set it to about 50 for now. Next, add Clamp Hair Curves. This creates a bundled appearance. Then add Frizz Hair Curves. This adds a sparse or frizzy look. Finally, add Attach Hair Curves to surface. This helps prevent the roots from floating. Adjust the hairstyle overall. If there are areas where the hair is thin, use the Density tool, check Shape and Length in the Curve Shape options, and add more hair to match the existing shape. Set the material for the hair. Create a new material and change the principled BSDF to the principled hair BSDF. Sample the color from the design image.
Ancient years grinding dark alleys down, wisdom etched on his metallic crown.
This completes the realistic hair.
Through the chaos, he's wired enough. Ancient years grinding dark alleys
It will look
down,
even better using cycles.
wisdom etched
Please try
on his
whichever you
metallic
prefer.
crown. Memory banks full of battles fought tough. Through the chaos, he's wired enough.
How was that? We were able to create a girl's head. Since we easily created the face starting from low poly, we were able to skip the retopology process. By pasting the image using a stencil and increasing overall efficiency, we were able to create a high-quality character quite easily, weren't we? Although we created realistic hair this time, with a bit of ingenuity applied to this hair system, we can easily create low-poly hair as well. I plan to turn this girl into a VTuber that can be moved in real time. So I will cover the creation process in the next video. If we create the body efficiently, starting from low poly as well, it seems like we can easily and enjoyably create any type of character, right? See you in the next video. Now, let's jump into the world of infinite imagination.